from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
A pleasant evening and a very warm welcome to the national news broadcast of Rupavahini ChannelEye. I'm Dulanjali Ananda.
And I am Lakshita Dirasingh. We start off by taking a quick look at the top stories for tonight.
A special agency for the digitalization of state institutions. Dr. Harsha De Silva appointed to the chairmanship of the Committee on Public Finance. 2 monkeypox patients have been identified from the country. Vegetable prices drop at the Dambulla Economic Centre. Afghan cricketers show their camaraderie.
Now for those and other stories in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that steps will be taken to establish a digital promotion agency aimed at developing computer applications for the collection and monitoring of data from various government entities in Sri Lanka.
He pointed out that previously private companies had been responsible for creating such applications for government organizations and emphasized the need for a dedicated agency to carry out this task in the future. President Ranil Wickremesinghe shared these intentions during a meeting with governing and opposition members of Parliament at the Parliament complex. As per the President's recommendation, opposition parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva was appointed as the new chairman of the Committee on Public Finance. The President said that standing orders should be followed when appointing chairman of committees and advisory bodies. He also said that according to the existing standards, the chairmanship of the Committee on Public Finance Committee should be offered to members of the opposition. He added that MP Harsha De Silva should be appointed as the head of the Committee on Public Finance. The President further added that the IMF agreement was approved by Parliament and the newly appointed chairman should conduct himself appropriately. Dr. Harsha De Silva said that he thanked the President for appointing him as the new chairman of the Public Finance Committee. He said that they questioned the Committee on Public Finance not to disrupt these efforts, but to steer the committee and its responsibilities in the appropriate direction. He added that they collaborated with the United Nations Development Programme to establish an interim budget office.
Baik Ahmad Yojana kale committee deke public finance waste admin sabapati dennai ape Semasinghe රාජ්‍යමතුමා එක්ක වෙලා කොහොමද බජට් ඔෆිස් එක ගෙනියන්නේ කියලා තමයි කතානායකතුමාට සාකච්ඡා කරලා ඉදිරිපත් ගන්න. දැන් පටන් ගත්තාම විශාල මම හිතන්නේ තවත් සම්පත් ලැබෙනවා. I think that digitalization and computerization are discussed in 1993 when I was Prime Minister. Today it's 2023. We still haven't done. We have to do this. It's a battle by itself. If one committee has to handle how to do that.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, Speaker Mahinda Apabeyewardena and parliamentarians were present at this occasion.
Director of National Institute of Infectious Diseases Dr. Dinesh Khoggalagi says the health condition of the monkeypox patients identified from the country is gradually turning positive. The 2 patients are currently receiving treatments at the National Institute. Director of National Institute of Infectious Diseases Dr. Dinesh Khoggalagi said that after contact tracing, they have managed to identify how the patients and who had arrived in the country from abroad were infected with the disease. He said that patients arriving from abroad these days may indicate symptoms such as rashes and fever. He also said that if a patient is showing symptoms such as a sore throat, then it is important to seek for treatments at the earliest.
Traders say that the prices of vegetable stocks are declining at the Dambulla Economic Centre. The vegetable prices in many parts of the country skyrocketed in the past couple of days. However, traders have pointed out that the prices of vegetables being received from hill country areas have dropped significantly. They pointed out that various reasons, including the decline of consumer demand, have contributed to the price drop in vegetables.
Tamil National People's Front parliamentarian Gajendra Kumar Ponnambalam has been taken into custody on the charges of obstructing the duties of police officers. Police Media Division said that a group of officers attached to the Jayapuram police in Jaffna has taken the parliamentarian at his residence in Bambalapitiya. Footage circulating on social media showed how the parliamentarian was behaving in an unruly manner in Madurakanne area, Vadamarachi East in Jaffna. The parliamentarian was engaging in a discussion with a group of civilians near a school, which was an examination center for GCE ordinary level examination. The police had informed the gathering to disperse from the site due to the disruptions causing to the exam. A mobile phone footage showed that a supporter of the parliamentarian chasing a police officer in civil in an attempt to assault him. Subsequently, an altercation had erupted between the parliamentarian and a police officer on duty at the examination centre. Minister Tiran Alas issued an order to senior DIG in charge of Jaffna to submit a report regarding the incident. In the meantime, Kilinochchi Magistrates Court yesterday imposed a foreign travel ban against the parliamentarian after considering the submissions made by the police. Two supporters, including a female who aided to obstruct the duties of the police officers, were taken into custody. The suspects were remanded after producing them before the Kilinochchi Magistrates Court. The court had informed the parliamentarian to record a statement at the Madurankande police. However, the police said that the parliamentarian had refrained from recording a statement citing various reasons without producing himself before the police, and he was taken into custody at his residence in Colombo after obtaining another order from the courts. The parliamentarian is expected to record a statement at the Jayapuram police. The Inter-University Students' Federation organized a protest today based on several demands, including the reopening of closed Buddhist and Pali University and increasing the Mahapula scholarship.
The protest, which was commenced near the Sri Jayawardhanapura University, was obstructed with police roadblocks near Sri Somaratana Road in Vijayarama Nugegoda. Even though the protest was scheduled to reach Colombo, it was abandoned due to tear gas attacks.
Natasha Edrisuriya and Bruno Divakara has been remanded until June 21st. The Colombo Fort Magistrates Court issued the relevant order. Natasha Edrisuriya was taken into custody for allegedly making derogatory statement on Buddhism. She was arrested by the Cybercrimes Division of the Criminal Investigation Department. Bruno Divakara was taken into custody on May 31st for publishing her performance on his YouTube channel. Colombo Fort Magistrates Court further remanded Venerable Rajangane Sadharatna Thera until June 21st. The order was given by Magistrate Tirina Gamage after considering the submissions made by the Criminal Investigation Department and the Defence Attorneys.
Conference on Regional Cooperation for Higher Education Development Options for South Asia was commenced in Colombo yesterday. The two-day conference was jointly organized by the World Bank and the University Grants Commission. The program aims to deliver a comprehensive report on regional integration for higher education development, showcase Sri Lanka's recent program of reforms, and to bring the regional network together to discuss further opportunities for progress. The conference was inaugurated with the participation of Chairman of University Grants Commission Professor Sampath Amaratunga and World Bank Sri Lanka Manager Chio Kanda. Global Tertiary Education expert Dr. Jamil Zalmi and World Bank Director for Regional Integration and Engagement Cecile Fruman were also present at this occasion.
Together, it's easier to build institutional capacity because partnerships, if they are true partnerships, are always mutually beneficial. The World Bank has been involved with a series of regional projects which have really yielded very impressive results, and I've had the benefit of being associated with this project. They are so-called African Centers of Excellence. After many years of investment in individual countries, both the governments and the World Bank realized that in small countries, in countries with very limited resources, it was difficult to build up critical mass. And so the idea was to move to a regional approach where centers were established, of course, here and there in individual countries, in individual universities, but from the beginning they were designed as regional centers, getting students from several countries or many countries from sub-Saharan Africa, conducting research, and working through professional networks in thematic.
This is the only region that does not have a regional pandemic response and preparedness effort. And again, through the COVID pandemic, I think all countries have realized that countries are stronger if they collaborate, if they come together, if they cooperate on research, if they pool resources, for instance in labs, if they pool resources on stockpiling. And so these are two areas where we're seeing Sri Lanka, a small state, a small nation of South Asia, showing a lot of leadership. So this leaves me incredibly encouraged. I think in the next few days or next few weeks and months, we're going to see leaps and bounds in terms of cooperation in higher education, also in health. And so I again salute Sri Lanka for its leadership on this agenda.
Our region has made tremendous progress in getting children to school in the past 2 decades. Most students in the region are now enrolled in universities, in part because of the population growth, but more so by expansion of the secondary education. However, more investments are needed and more efforts are needed to cope with the dynamic challenge of ever-increasing student numbers and to ensure the higher education institutions can provide the best level of education and quality education to their students.
It is well known that regional cooperation in higher education provides significant benefits to the relevant countries, creating win-win situations. Opportunities for academic and student mobility, benchmarking and mutual learning. World Bank funded projects are well designed and to cover all aspects of higher education. As an example, just an increase in enrollment of undergraduate will not help a country. As such, I am requesting support from the World Bank to design the 4th World Bank funded project, considering the economic situation in the country and the short and long-term goals of the Sri Lankan government.
But Sri Lankan Airlines CEO Richard Natha says that the national carrier is expecting passenger traffic to surpass pre-pandemic levels by year-end during its peak travel period. With a boom in tourism, in an interview with global news broadcaster Channel News Asia, he said that the Sri Lankan Airlines are set to be in the green going forward and intends to run across its network as it adds 10 newly leased aircraft to the fleet.
I think the outlook for next year is even stronger. So, I mean, if you look at the year we've just had, the year started with the economic challenges in the country, in Sri Lanka. We had travel advisories, and then in July and August, the country ran out of jet fuel. So I've never worked for an airline with no jet fuel before. So everything had to take stop in India. We lost payloads. Even with all of those headwinds, we still broke even. So assuming that the world stays the year ahead, which we expect, and the Sri Lankan economy is rebounding, tourism is coming back, we're forecasting perhaps a 50 million profit next year. We started to return from COVID in December 21. December 21 was probably one of the most profitable months we'd ever had, and that continued through January, February and March, and the traffic was coming back. There was a bit of a hiccup with Omicron in the January, but the first quarter of last year, of the calendar year, was profitable, and then then we had the problems in the country, so it was like going through the whole thing again. But if you look where we are now, tourism is now back where it was the first quarter of last year. Is coming back. Day in, day out, we have sales teams on the ground in all the countries that we fly to, and they work with all the tour operators. So, at a working level, day in, day out, we're promoting the country. I've worked for 8 airlines. I don't think I've ever worked for an airline that probably spends so much time promoting the country rather than the airline itself. The economic conditions were challenging right at the start of last year because there were just not dollars in the country. But we sort of got through that by sort of September, October last year. The currency devalued. That's been a challenge for many people in the country, but actually for the airline it doesn't really matter because in practice 80% of our revenues come from overseas, come from outside the country. And actually even in the country the underlying fares are set in dollars. So, fares everywhere are really high. But if you're in Sri Lanka and your currency is devalued by 70%, airfares have gone up, they've doubled or trebled. They've not gone up 30% like the rest of the world, but people have been still buying tickets. So if you look at us, 10% of our revenue has gone in paying interest on past debt that has really nothing to do with the airline of today. We've not had any money from the government for 2 years. But we've got interest rates on dollars that we're paying between 12 and 15%. And that is long-term unsustainable when passenger yields come down. So in Sri Lanka it goes through a process. So there is a unit called the State-Owned Enterprise Restructuring Unit that's been set up under the Finance Ministry, and they are looking at the privatization process, not just for the airline, but for a number of state-owned enterprises, and they're looking at Sri Lanka as a part of that.
Now, Prime Minister Dinesh Gundlawala says South Korean assistance to Sri Lanka by imparting knowledge and in many fields is all the more praiseworthy.
He made these remarks when he met with a Korean delegation yesterday and today. The Prime Minister met with Korean President Special Envoy Lee Jin-bok and a team of Korean parliamentarians at the Prime Minister's office in Parliament yesterday. The Prime Minister said the deep friendship and bilateral relations between South Korea and Sri Lanka continue to flourish to a remarkable level at present. Special Envoy said South Korea will increase its investments, trade and development cooperation. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister met with Director General of Busan City Yoo Jong-chao at the Temple Trees today. Presidential advisor Dr. R.H.S. Samaratunga emphasizes the need for a comprehensive review of laws in order to meet the requirements of a competitive economy.
He noted that the Presidential Secretariat is currently examining a series of new legislation drafts that address these 4 crucial sectors. Presidential advisor Dr. R.H.S. Samaratunga made these remarks addressing the panel discussion of the National Law Conference 2023 held with the participation of President Ranil Wickremesinghe recently. Dr. R.H.S. Samaratunga pointed out the need for a comprehensive review of land laws, labor laws, capital laws and technology laws. The Labour Ministry has taken into account the concerns raised by both employers and employees and has formulated a new unified law that aligns with the current trends in employment worldwide. Dr. Samaratunga stressed that the traditional notion of an 8-hour fixed-term employment is no longer the sole standard. Dr. Samaratunga expressed confidence that the government would soon take up the proposed legislation and ensure its thorough evaluation through the parliamentary process. Furthermore, he said the government is committed to accelerating the process of digitalization to bolster the economy. Many professionals of the business sector as well as the field of law were present at this occasion.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe convened a meeting today with a delegation composed of members from the Sri Lanka Red Cross Society and the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. The primary objective of the meeting was to provide President Wickremesinghe with a update regarding the ongoing South Asian National Society's leadership meeting held in Colombo recently. Leaders from 8 South Asian Red Cross and Red Crescent national societies attended the event. The South Asia launch of the World Disasters Report 2022 took place yesterday. In a gesture of gratitude, President Wickremesinghe received a copy of the report from the delegation. Excise Department says strict action will be taken against the excise officials for their alleged involvement in the brawl occurred at a shopping complex in Galface.
Media spokesman of the department, Commissioner Kapila Kumarasinghe, said that the department has initiated a special inquiry into the incident. The brawl had occurred when the group of Excise Department leaving a restaurant in a shopping complex in Colombo after finishing a birthday party of a colleague. Reports have indicated that the manager and the employees of the restaurant had alleged the Excise Department officials for attempting to steal a helmet placed near a shop. CCTV footages indicate that the Excise Department officials engaged in a heated argument with the other party. Subsequently, the argument had turned into a brawl between both the parties. 2 persons have been hospitalized after sustaining injuries, and one of them has been identified as an Excise Department official. The Excise Department has said that a report will be submitted within 2 days after completing the inquiry into the incident.
With that, we take a look at a few local news items in brief. Former High Court Judge Gihan Pilapiti assumed duties as the 26th Public Trustee today. The newly appointed Public Trustee is a past student of Ferguson College, Ratnapura, St. Thomas's College, Bandarawala and Dharmaraja College, Kandy. He is also a graduate from the University of Colombo. Chairman of Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, W.B. Ganegala, was also present at this occasion. Electro Gas Company has organized a series of programs marking the International LPG Day. Accordingly, as one of the initiatives, a beach cleaning program was initiated from Vallavatta to Mount Lavinia Beach today. In parallel to this program, several initiatives including tree planting and public awareness campaigns on LPG will be carried out in future. Raigam Vimber Saltons PLC, which is a listed company in Colombo Stock Exchange, recorded its highest turnover in history during the financial year of 2022-2023. Chairman of the group, Dr. Ravi Lianage, said that the achievement is a massive growth compared to the previous year. He made these remarks during a media briefing held in Colombo yesterday.
U.S. Department of the Treasury Deputy Assistant Secretary for Asia, Robert Caproth, concluded a visit to the country yesterday. He met with U.S. Ambassador Shang and a range of officials in the country. U.S. Department of the Treasury Deputy Assistant Secretary for Asia, Robert Caproth, engaged in a visit to Sri Lanka from June 5th to 6th. His visit to Sri Lanka focused on gaining a clear understanding of Sri Lanka's latest macroeconomic and financial conditions and outlook. During his visit, Ambassador Shang and U.S. Treasury Deputy Assistant Secretary for Asia, Caproth, met with President Ranil Wickremesinghe and reaffirmed the United States would continue to explore areas in which their engagement and support help Sri Lanka to overcome its economic challenges and continue its structural reforms. The visit also included meetings with Ministers Ali Sabri and Kanchana Wijesekara, State Minister Shehan Semasinghe, Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Weerasinghe and Opposition Leader Sajith Premadasa. He also met with officials of the International Monetary Fund, World Bank and Asia Development Bank to further communication and coordination in assisting Sri Lanka to deepen its reforms and achieve healthy and sustainable growth.
High Commission of India organized the first India-Sri Lanka Defence Seminar and Exhibition in Colombo today. The event was organized to promote cooperation and collaboration between the two countries on defence equipment. The event was held with the participation of the Indian defence industry, Sri Lankan entrepreneurs, Sri Lanka Armed Forces, Police and Special Task Force. State Minister Pramita Bandarathenakon was the chief guest of the event. Other senior officials from Sri Lanka, including Secretary of Defence, Chief of Defence Staff and the service commanders were also present at the event. The grand event included a seminar highlighting the capability and capacities of the two countries in defence equipment manufacturing and would also exhibit a wide variety of defence products. The event aims to identify new areas of cooperation and economic revival whilst ensuring capacity building of Sri Lanka Armed Forces. The exhibition will also be open to public, providing them an opportunity to see various defence equipment on display.
Now, a special screening of the latest cinematic creation of veteran filmmaker Jayantha Chandrasiri was held in Colombo yesterday. The film, titled Midunu Vishwaya, is the 6th film directed by Jayantha Chandrasiri.
මිනිසුන්ට තනිකම දැනෙන්නේ ඔවුන් තනිම නිසාම නොවේ.
මට සර්ව තනියම හම්බෙන්න පුළුවන්ද?
බෑ. තම පරමාදර්ශී වස්තුන්ට පවා බෑ. විටක තමන් මගහැරන නිසාය.
The main characters of the film are portrayed by actors Uddika Premratna and Udari Varnakula Surya. Veteran musician Navaratna Gamage has composed the traditions of the film. Welcome back. On foreign news, 2 people have been killed in a shooting at a high school graduation ceremony in the United States.
5 others were injured from the incident that occurred in Virginia. Police said a man armed with 4 handguns killed 2 people and wounded 5 others when he fired into a crowd after a high school graduation ceremony in the United States city of Richmond, Virginia. A 19-year-old man has been arrested in relation to the shooting. The suspect was likely to be charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder in addition to other offences.
Total, because they like, I don't know if it was like our vendor car got shot up. It's just like,
wow. And you were, so you were set up?
Yeah, directly.
Now on sports news, Sri Lanka managed to win the one-day international series after defeating Afghanistan in the 3rd one-day international match by 9 wickets. The match was played today at the Suryalava International Cricket Stadium in Hambantota.
You got the point.
Among cricketing nations prepared a delicious meal for the Sri Lankan cricketers.
The Afghan cricket team arrived in the island to take part in a 3 ODI match series against Sri Lanka. During the break following the second ODI match, Afghan players took the initiative to prepare a traditional Afghan meal for the Sri Lankan cricketers. Subsequently, players from both the sides got together to enjoy this meal.
So good. When you're eating it, it's so soft, and I don't know, with everything, it feels so good when you're eating, and you feel happy. That's the most important thing, right? When you are eating something, when you're eating food, you have to like be happy, and when the food is going inside from the stomach, it makes you happy. So and it's so good. I don't know. I love it. First time I'm having it, and definitely I'm just going to ask them how they made it and the recipe, and I'm going to make for you all in the Asia Cup for the whole team. Thank you, bro.
So what's called for that? Rosh. 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 Martin Rosh. Yeah, first time I'm having it, so I love it and I love the company with my Afghan friends.
When you coming to Kabul?
Kabul, as soon as possible.
For Pagiza?
Yeah, and Jalalabad, my favorite city.
Jalalabad?
Yeah.
Why Jalalabad?
Because I like the beauty of natural beauty of the city.
And that's all the news we have for tonight. Join us tomorrow at the same time for the very latest on Channel I. I'm Dulanjali, together with Lakshita, signing on. Good night.
Good night.